Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FGMeCAST as we go live with the ANZCAR Truck Series here on a Monday night, Queen's birthday long weekend, Monday evening. So wherever you are joining us from, welcome, and I hope you've enjoyed a long weekend. On behalf of Her Majesty, and I'm joined tonight by Carl with you. We head to Talladega for a 75-lap race here. Carl, good evening.
Good evening, Stuart, and of course, God save the Queen. I have to be English in that respect, of course. Yes, we are here in Alabama, Lincoln to be precise, the former home of the Anniston Air Force Base, the Army Air Force Training Base back in World War II. Talladega Super Speedway, the most iconic speedway, you've got to say, in the NASCAR calendar other than Daytona. This place is the mecca of NASCAR. Of course, a famous film being made of the place, one Talladega Nights, of course, but absolute brilliant place. Super speedway action, very, very tricky, very easy to have a mistake here, and of course we're only milliseconds away from having the big one.
Milliseconds indeed. We were talking about that in the pre-race. I said, I wonder what the chances are tonight of us doing 75 laps here clean, and you said, yeah, probably not. So I've settled in. Got myself in the dressing gown and nice and warm, ready to go. Another cool day here in Melbourne. Seen plenty of this. It's on screen at the moment. We're on board at the moment with Dave Douglas. Kate Donnelly's in front of him. Luke Traher behind him. This is practice. Guys have been doing plenty of that bumper drafting in the warm-up here, so they know what to expect for tonight. What we don't know yet, Carl, if you can take us through it, of course, is who is where, or who's who in the zoo in terms of the championship at the moment.
Okay, championship standing wise, let us go off this one. So in first position currently is Edward Foster. He's 8 points ahead of Daniel Heddershade. In third place we have Josh Micklemore, 19 points behind the leader. Fourth place is Maddie Raymond, 29 points down. Fifth is Nathan Clark, 32 points off the leader. Sixth we have Jason Martin, 34 points down. Seventh is James Robbie, 43 points off the leader. 45 points off the leader is Christopher Finlay, with Dwayne Preetz in 9th, 67 points down, and finally Hamish Cleveland 10th place, 67 points off the leader. So expect to see a little bit of a change tonight, as I don't think Edward Foster is out there. Oh no, he's out there, sorry, I misspoke there. I didn't think I'd seen him, but he is out there. So it's getting close in the championship. It is still all to play for, of course.
Yeah, in the last couple of weeks we've seen not some first-timers, but we've seen some first-timers this season, and some first-timers overall. Josh Micklemore taking out the win last week, his first for this season 2 2021, and a much-deserved victory as well. He's been driving extremely well, just hasn't managed to quite get to that top step, but he did so last week and drove extremely well, so in doing it. We also have had Brenton Hobson take out a win in the Xfinity Series. So there's plenty of variety here. Daniel Heddershade, who is currently sitting in third, he's had a really strong run as well since joining the series. And of course, you can't count out the four-leaf clover himself, Michael Skurlock, who is back running this week after not running as much as he probably would have liked to last week. So let's see how this one pans out tonight. It's a full grid too. We've got I think 40 cars on the track at the moment, so it's going to be a big one here at Talladega Super Speedway.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of cars out there tonight. Some returning faces, which is good. We still have a few people unable to return from those big storms that have been happening all across Australia at the moment, unfortunately, which is always a shame. So big shout out to anybody that's been affected by that. Of course, we had our own issues with that last week, but thankfully things are settling down a little bit. But yeah, obviously, a few people still being caught out by that, unfortunately, which is somewhat the case sometimes. It's weather can be very, very tricky sometimes.
Well, it's certainly the one thing that we can't control. So, we do what we can with the rest of it, and good to see that good to say, I should say, that we're back and without any issues at all. Dave Douglas, we wrapped that we got that little spin out of pit lane live on the air for him. So, Dave, if you're rewatching the stream, mate, I hope you enjoyed it. We did our very best as we get back here again. So again, this is a huge pack running. You just see Jaden Russell getting up there into, I didn't actually see who that was, but just coming onto screen now is the 89. So that was Maddie Raymond's partner in crime, Mick Taylor. So Mick Taylor? Might have been Mick Taylor.
Mick Taylor or Noddy Tompkins, one of those two. I couldn't quite see who it was off when I was looking quicker. I just saw the paint job, so I think it would probably be Mick Taylor because I think he's out there at the moment. So yeah, it would have been Mick Taylor. But yeah, this is the thing. This is what we're expecting tonight. Big packs. As you can see, they're running 4 wide, 3-4 wide there across the start-finish line in pack formation. This is the thing about the Talladega Superspeedway. We've got about 4.3 kilometers of length. That's almost 2.5 miles in old money, in the good old Queen's currency, of course. But it is a long speedway, very steep banks as well. You're going to be using the draft to your advantage. And what can happen is the front end can just get very loose for you. You do wobble in the draft. It's very tricky to run in a pack like this. So it is extremely tiring racing. So the drivers will be really at their limits tonight for fatigue-wise, because the other thing that you sort of don't think of as much is when you're racing in a pack like that is you're looking left and right constantly, you're listening to your spotter constantly. It is really harrowing stuff, driving that close to another driver constantly, lap in, lap out.
Yeah, and then you get exactly what we're just seeing on screen now, which is what you're talking about before. 4 trucks taken out there, somebody gets a little loose, and everybody pays the price. So I'll be hoping to get all that out of the way before we get underway here tonight for this round. So
it can be a bit of a lottery sometimes, unfortunately, and that's what we do say about super speedways is sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, because you can get caught out so easily. It's so easy to have bad luck on a super speedway. Track temperature is pretty high tonight, 48 degrees Celsius. That's going to really be quite warm on the old tyres. The other thing as well is it's about 26 degrees air temperature, so it's not too hot. But when you're running in a pack like that, your engine gets very hot very quickly, so you do have to be aware of running your car nice and close to that, running your truck in a close formation like that, because these vehicles only have the tiniest little slot for the radiator in the front of the truck. You see the big grille on the front there, that's nothing, that's just a sticker essentially. The actual radiator is just underneath the front grille, just sort of, if you look on the Chevrolets, it's underneath a Silverado sign. So depending on the actual truck, it depends, on the make and things like that. But just at the very bottom, that's where the radiator is. So it's only a small little gap, and those things get very hot very quickly. So it's very easy to overheat the truck, and it's very tricky to cool it down when it's a little bit of a warmer air temperature like tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be something else that's going to be a factor for the drivers, particularly if they get a little bit of damage, which they're likely to. We've seen cars here before get that damage and just overheat and pop a motor. So a few things for the drivers to consider here. 75 lap race distance. Doesn't sound like a lot in comparison to our normal races, but do remember this is a 4 odd mile track, so it's a long one. We're looking at 51 odd second laps for the guys, so it's going to be testing for them as well, particularly running in a pack like that for an extended period of time. As we see it again, just someone getting down low, getting loose, and I think that was dropping down there into Dwayne Priest. He copped it there. You can see the insides of Todd's Maxfield's truck, as most of the panels there got ripped off. So it's mentally going to be training. It's going to be a physical affair. There's no question about that at all. That 20 livery just sitting in the pit lane there, what a whacker that is. Lego livery, or as I heard it pronounced the other day, Lego.
Oh, the Americans, Lego and things like that. One thing I wanted to mention actually was just the new damage model on these trucks is pretty awesome. Just saw Dave Douglas just driving back. He's come into pits now and repaired it, but you could see the actual bits of metal being torn off, and the door actually got torn off of this truck, so you could see right into the actual roll cage and into the truck itself. So any damage like that's going to really affect your aero, and that can really slow you down. So that's something else to be careful of. Of course, this season you're getting a little bit more experience on the ovals, aren't you, Stuart? So you're starting to understand a little bit more of just how tricky it is going in left circles.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think what you're talking about there as well with that damage model, that's something that's just come in the latest update that was released on, when was that? For Thursday evening. So those changes, we'll get to see the benefit of those tonight in this series.
Yeah, the new damage model is fantastic. It really is something to behold. Another thing that got changed as well is the smoke physics as well. Of course, the joys about online racing and sim racing is there are always changes going through, of course, updates and things like that. But they recently did the update on the new smoke model as well, just so everybody has to use it. Beforehand, you could actually turn it off for... basically, if you're running a potato as a computer, so you could turn the smokes off, which effectively gave you a little bit of a bit more breathing room. Now that's changed, so you can no longer do that. So expect to see a couple of drivers struggling if there is a big crash in front of them, because that smoke is so thick and accurate, it's very hard to see through.
Yeah, we've seen that in weeks gone past. Interesting. I didn't know that they could be turned off, or it could be turned off, so... glad iracing have changed that so that can't happen. It's very, very difficult to see through, and so it needs to be a level playing field for everyone. Just see the checkered flag occur on our practice session, so that now is closed. And I can tell you, heading into qualifying, we do have a grid of 40 cars here at Talladega for the ANZCAR Truck Series. Again, and we're going to jump on tonight with... oh, looks like...
As it works out which one it wants to jump on.
I was going to say, there we go, now we've fixed it. So we're going to jump aboard tonight with Aidan Schultz and let him take us around in the Crank Esports 52 entry for one of our usual laps with Carl, letting us know the ins and outs of the field. But Aidan has had a busy sim weekend with his commentating duties and his driving duties in the 24-hour Le Mans race that he ran in the LMP2s as well. So he's had a busy one, but he's back here tonight, Monday night ANZCAR Truck Series, and we'll jump on board with him and let him take us for a lap around Talladega.
Yeah, big shout out to himself, Edward Foster, and Matty Hunter's team as well. They managed to get P5 in Le Mans, so good job for them. So we're coming up to the start-finish line at the moment. It's a long old track. Start-finish line is right at the back end of the straight here. We cross it now. Coming in to turn 1. Turn 1 and 2, 33 degrees of banking, so a very steep banking. Second lap is going to be the fast lap here, as is often the case on the super speedway. So you're going to see Aidan just coming up high against the wall here, just using that to get a little bit of an extra draft off the edge of the wall there, just to try and get every little bit of momentum you can. Onto the back straight now. The straight section's about 3 degrees of banking. It's not very steep here, but then you come into the final section of banking, 32.5 degrees. So again, very steep banking, and you can see it on the screen. You can see how much that truck is tilted at the moment with the gyro cam. We're going to come on to the front straight, the tri-oval section. About 16 degrees of banking here as we come into this little tri-oval section. So that little bit of an extra corner. It's technically a straight, but it is a turn as well. Coming across the tri-oval, he goes down nice and low, trying to get a little bit of extra speed off the corner, and that is a lap of Talladega. This should be his fast one, so you'll see Aidan drop to the bottom of the track now and take the shortest circuit he can around the actual circuit, so try and get a good run with this one.
As we say that, a whole host of drivers go flooding through and set their lap. Andrew Dyson jumps into third. He's just dropped to sixth as I say that. They've got new livery on the simrigs.com entry. The bonnet of that one has Phoenix Smokers on board. So learn a little bit about this company tonight. They are, as they say, manufacturing meat smokers, so if you're into that sort of thing as I am, definitely jump on and have a look. So a new sponsor into esports, so good for them for jumping in and on board with Dyson. I don't know if that's a DPR thing. I guess we'll figure that out as the night goes on. And Dyson jumps into pit lane, having completed his 2 flying laps.
Yeah, this is the big thing now, is the qualifying does count. Cade Donnelly has jumped up to the top, and we've seen Cade do very well on super speedways before, of course, winning at Daytona at the start of the year in the Truck Series, where I came fourth, of course. I have to mention that for all of the people listening, otherwise they would be disappointed. But he has got some good speed out there. You will see as well the difference between qualifying and practice pace. This is the difference between having a tow and not having a tow. In practice, they were doing 52.3 second laps. So very, very fast, almost a 52 dead lap. In qualifying, they're 56. So you lose a good couple of seconds, 4 seconds when you're not in the tow, and that really does affect the cars.
We're just hunting for people on track still. We've had a fair measure of the field go through and do their qualifying so far. So just jumped on with Luke Trahere here. He finishes his second lap, jumps up into 17th. Get on board now with Ruben Phelps, who's out and about in the Hot Wheels entry.
Yeah, he's about to complete his first lap, Ruben, so he's going to want to try and get a good qualifying tonight. We've seen Ruben struggle a little bit in qualifying session. So, of course, in the RP Motorsport team, he's one of the solo flyers tonight as well, which does make it a little bit trickier. It's going to be very helpful to have teammates tonight. So what we usually look for is when you're actually racing as a solo entrant is you try and get some friends. You try and actually work together with some teams around you. Good first lap from Ruben there, 56.2. So this lap should actually be a little bit better for him. So this could be good for Ruben if he can actually get this lap worked out. But obviously, teamwork is crucial here on a super speedway. You need to work with some friends. You need to work with some people. Otherwise, it doesn't work quite well. And Ruben just misses out on that second lap, unfortunately. But he has managed to get up into P12. So let's start running through the grid as they will start to get hooked up. So on the front row of the grid is Kate Donnelly, Josh Micklemore. Second row is Ryan Wooden and Aaron Dillon. Third row is Nigel Patton, Christopher Finley. Fourth is James Robbie, Andrew Dyson. Fifth row is Jaden Russell, Jason Martin. Sixth is Hobson and Phelps. Sixth is Clark Davidson. Seventh, Curtis Clark. Eighth, we have Taylor Trahere. Ninth is Sherlock Schultz. 10th, we have Tompkins and Wellman. 11th is Raymond and Rizal. 12th is Douglas and Hedesheed. 13th, Maxfield and Foster. 14th, Dolcenac and Leifborg. 15th, Priest and Cleland. 16th, Hasler Williams. 17th is Jones and Scotty Rankin. 18th is Hobbs and Vickers. And on the back row is Steve Hoppett with Michael Shaw.
As I said, a full grid here tonight. That is the order that they will start in here at Talladega. You shout out to AJ Insurance Services for their support of our stream. Thank them each and every time we stream with good reason. The team at AJ Insurance Service can help you out with your commercial business insurance. So if you are looking to protect yourself from the unexpected, give the guys at AJ Insurance Services a call or jump on their Facebook page and reach out to them. They will be able to assist you to help you manage the unavoidable, and they are very, very good at what they do. So thank you for their support as we get ready to get away here. Just waiting for the last few cars to jump in. Crank Esports, Trahere and Skurlock just holding everybody up a little bit here, just getting themselves sorted, jumping in. Brenton Hobson about to make his way onto the grid, as well as Steve Hoppett. Before we get underway here, Ed Foster will be a little bit disappointed with his qualifying, no doubt a bit further back in the field. Of course, he was part of that Le Mans effort on the weekend, so maybe feeling a little bit sore and sorry after having been involved in a lot of racing over the weekend.
Yeah, he also went on to win the Weekend Warriors race at Phoenix as well. So very, very strong weekend for Mr. Foster. Sim Boys are going to be happy with their qualifying efforts. They've got Kay Donnelly, Aaron Dillon, they've got Christopher Finlay, and who else have they got? They've got a few cars up there, actually. So there's a few of their team up in the sort of top 10. Pace Syndicate as well, looking good at the moment. They've got a few cars in the top 10, as well as Mitch Motorsport, of course. You've got Josh Micklemore and Jason Martin inside the top 10, so look out for those guys to start working together. What you might see is a few cars just drop off the back of the pack here. Just lose a little bit of speed at the start of the race, just to ease off a little bit, just to make sure they're safe and avoid any first lap incidents. Sometimes if you're not leading, it's best to be a little bit further down the pack so you can avoid some nasty incidents. But watch out for Sim Boys. If they can actually hook their cars up, they could be in with a good shout tonight. Just want to say a thank you as well to Locked On iRacing for their continued coverage of the ANZCAR series. A big shout out to those. And if you're up for some iRacing content and like to listen to podcasts, they are available on your favourite podcasting network. But Kate Donnelly is going to lead us away for tonight's race. Again, good record on the super speedways this year for Kate Donnelly. He's going to want to try and get another one under his belt.
Yeah, what a fantastic view we've got here as well. The whole field filing through. It's big enough for us to be able to get a good shot like that, where we can see all 40 starters just doing their final checks and thoughts before they get this one underway. Do they go early? Do they manage the race, knowing that we've got 75 laps, and probability of a caution here is high as the pace truck drops down. We've got a fair way to go here. We've got a long run around before we get to see that green flag wave, and it will be Cade Donnelly who everybody will be watching as we form up, ready to get going for another week here on FGMeCAST. ANZCAR truck taking us away. It's going to be Cade Donnelly and Josh Mickelmore. Last week race winner Josh Mickelmore at the front. Can he make it 2 from 2 as we get going here at Talladega? Mickelmore and Donnelly get away. It looks like a pretty smooth start for everyone.
And of course, the immortal words of boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, folks. The green has dropped. We are underway. Cade Donnelly does get a good start. And people are just going to have to settle now. It's just that thing of not working too hard, too early, because you can't win this race in the first lap, but you sure as heck can lose it quite quickly.
Very much a matter of monitoring and managing those around you. As you can see there, running bumper to bumper. That was very close there. Ryan Wooden just got really, really wobbly there. Josh Mickelmore cutting down in front of Cade Donnelly. Not much room given there at all. That was almost a moment there. If Cade Donnelly had not eased his foot off that accelerator a little bit, that could have been an enormous smash, of course. And we do talk about the big one because it is always very close. There are cars starting to look a little bit more racy now as the first couple of laps have gone under. The tyres are starting to warm up and the cars are starting to feel a little bit more racy, but you just have to be careful, of course, because these trucks, they don't have a huge amount of aero to them, but they do have aerodynamics to them. They do have downforce, of course. And when you cut in front of a truck in front of you, all of a sudden the truck behind you will lose some of that aero downforce, of course, and will get very, very loose. You can see there Ryan Wooden just struggling a little bit in the mid-pack. He's just getting a little bit wobbly there. And that's the problem, is the truck does get a little bit loose on you in the mid-corner. As you're entering the corner, all of a sudden you'll start wobbling on your steering wheel, and it's very easy to go up into the side of somebody. Yeah, you just end up developing that tank slapper as you try and just make those little corrections and actually make the problem worse. So, as you say, Wooden, they're just getting a little bit scary, but not too bad for everyone there. So he's doing okay. Nigel Patton, great qualifying run from him tonight. Activity Hub Bali entry. He's currently up in 6th place. No huge movers yet, albeit I say that. Edward Foster up 9 positions into 19th to cast my way down the list, but the majority of the guys just jogging on the spot at the moment, trying to get some feel for how the thing's going to play out tonight, and for those racing around them as well.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Foster is actually doing quite well to work his way up towards his teammate Norman Clark at the moment, so he's trying to get hooked up to his teammate so he can get nice and close and those two can start working together. I did notice a few people dropping back to the rear of the field. Riley Curtis, one of them. We also saw Ruben Phelps. A couple of people just dropping to the back of the grid, just out of line, just to get a little bit of room for this race as it goes on, because you never know when that crash is going to occur, and sometimes it's nice to be towards the end of the field so you don't get somebody coming up behind you too quickly and smashing into your rear end. Of course, that doesn't help you too much if it's in front of you, because it is very hard to avoid a crash sometimes. You just have to basically hold on to the brakes, close your eyes, grit your teeth, and hope you make it through.
And just pop back out onto the blimp view here. The pack really, really close together. There's a gap there. There's 4 or 5 stragglers at the back, but otherwise it is nose to tail here. 4 laps in, heading on to lap 5. You just see there a Sway the Crank Esport boys. They've joined together. I think that's Traher and Schultz on the top line there. And the teammate just below them, Edward Foster in front of him. Also, by the looks of it, down there is Mick Taylor as well. So, you know, there's a really, really strong pack forming there, but no one really able to get a breakaway yet, as we would expect.
We won't really see too many people breaking too far away from this. That high line's starting to work a little bit with Aaron Dillon at the moment. You can see him just pushing ahead of Josh Micklemore, and he might just slice down in front of that car. You can see just behind Kate Donnelly as well, just needing to get some air on the front of that truck. And that low line is starting to get a little bit more effective now. They're just going to generally sit side by side for the moment. You're not going to see a big leap out in front of anyone pulling away too quickly. You won't see that sort of unless there's a big moment, a big check-up or something in the middle of the pack, and then even then you'll see people catching up quite quickly. What happens, of course, is when you're following another car, another truck so closely on a circuit like this, and what we call the sort of bump drafting and the drafting, is effectively it makes your truck longer, so you get less drag on the truck, so it goes faster. Now, when you're the truck in front, you are pushing for a little bit more air, so you're going to use up more fuel. But effectively, because your drag's been reduced, you will go faster. So Josh Micklemore at the moment is doing speeds of about 290, 295 kilometers per hour, sort of out the front of the pack. If you lose the draft, you're going to be dropping down to around about 280. So that's the difference between running in the pack and running out of it. You lose a lot of time. You lose a good 10 to 15 kilometers per hour, and that's just the difference of having that extra bit of drag on the back of the truck. That little spoiler, the little gurney flap at the back, it does make a big difference, and that drag is quite devastating when you don't have a truck behind you.
Yeah, well, I should jump back and have a look at that. I was just looking back through the field to see where there is a little bit of a gap, someone flying solo, and the problem is there's not really anyone.
Ooh, we've got a check-up. We've got a check-up at the back. We've got a incident at the back, sorry. I'm trying to work out who it was. Somebody's lost their engine. I think it's Brent Hobbs has lost his engine. He's gone into the back of Ruben Phelps. So Ruben Phelps has actually got spun. That's what's caused that one. No caution flag. No caution flag there. So Ruben's gone into the side of the 80 of Nobby Tompkins. So they've just made contact. So dropping to the back of the field didn't help Ruben too much. And then we saw Brent Hobbs just go right into the back of Ruben, and that's really, really hurt their race. They're going to drop right off the back of the field now.
Yeah, it didn't even trigger an event on the race management software here that we are using, so I can't even go back and pick that one up for you, unfortunately. But thank you for finding it as always, Carl, letting us know what's going on there.
I have to go a little bit old school radio mode for those moments, of course, and talk you through what's happened. Steve Hoppett's in the pit lane at the moment. He's had an issue, but Brenton Hobbs is out of this race. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see that truck out again tonight. But this is really going to affect Ruben Phelps. Is going to struggle a lot tonight because he has got a lot of damage to the front of that truck now, and he has got really nobody to draft with, same as Nobby Tompkins, so those guys are going to struggle a little bit, so it's going to be very tricky for those now. You've got Michael Shaw and Riley Curtis sort of in their own little pack, but they've dropped right off the back of the leaders, so there is a bit of a gap now at the back of the field, and you can just see the speed difference. Those guys doing around about 280 kilometers per hour, the leaders are doing about 290, so it does lose you a lot of time, and it will be probably about 10 laps until we start seeing the leaders start to get a little bit into their shadow and then approaching the back of those trucks to start lapping them. Oh, as we've got a wreck, Stuart. Down in the mid-pack, a huge wreck. It's the eSport cars.
Yeah, it looks like Dwayne Priest was involved in that one as well. I'm just going to go back and have a look at it here.
So we've got the Crank boys have actually got in contact with each other by the looks of it. Looks like maybe Skurlock and Schultze have just made contact, and that's spun them two around, and then a big accident rolling Priest over, I think. Daniel Hederscheid getting rolled over on that one. Him going on his roof, turning turtle, but managing to get back on all four wheels. A lot of cars involved in that. The big one has happened, unfortunately. So you can see there a huge wreck there. A lot of cars involved in that mid-pack there. That is devastating for their race. Get you to go back and actually have a look at Daniel Hederscheid, because you can see the new damage model in full effect there. Not quite working as expected, but it's definitely does make a big difference on the front of the truck. A lot of panels missing on the front of that vehicle now.
As you can see there, Schultz has lost a door, so has Skurlock. He's lost a bonnet too. And that probably the year entry, losing a number of panels as well. So very damaged indeed. That's going to potentially be night over for that one.
They'll get a bit of extra air conditioning. Or if we get back and have a look at Chris Lefborg as well. Have a look at his on board if you can, because he had a bit of a wild ride with that one. So you can see there, Hedesheed just flying on top of him there. He just gets caught underneath the back end of Hedesheed, and you can see there those trucks sort of almost like Tetris there getting connected up. But the leaders are in pit lane at the moment. They are all coming in for their first service, getting a fresh set of tyres, getting some fuel on board to get towards the end of this race. Josh Mickelmore has come out in first, Aaron Dillon second, Kay Donnelly in third position, Christopher Finlay as well. So Sim Boys are really doing a good job tonight. They've managed to hook themselves up at the front. Jason Martin managed to get up into fifth place as well, so that's going to help out his teammate. He needs to get up there to work with him. Troy Davidson as well, working his way up the field. So this is looking good for Sim Boys at the moment. Gary Wellman as well. So pretty much all of their cars are in the top 10 at the moment for that team. So it is looking good for them, you got to say. Not so much for some of the other cars out there, unfortunately. A few cars with some serious damage.
Yeah, one of those involved, Aidan Schultz. Aidan joins us in the box now. Aidan, we're just having a look at the new damage model, mate. Peeled a fair number of panels off that Crank Esports 52 entry.
Yeah, definitely need to talk to the sponsors because we're giving them a bit of money they need to spend lately, I tell you.
Yeah, what actually happened there? So just a little bit loose. We couldn't quite catch the start of it there. We saw Skurlock and yourself were involved in it. And also Dwayne Priest got caught up in it as well. So there's a few involved there.
Yeah, well, Scully is obviously my teammate, so he's in the chat with me. They were wanting to take it 3 wide, and yeah, I don't know. I was happy in there behind Luke, and we were sitting in the second line, and I probably wasn't so much aware that they were going to try and make it 3 wide through the middle, so probably a little bit bad on my behalf, but I don't know. If it was me, 3 wide, I'd be creating a third lane, not trying to create one in the middle, but... that's right. We joked about it before the broadcast that we'd see you in here, and a little bit earlier than I wanted to, but that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely way earlier than we would expect to see you normally, mate. So probably need to go and reintroduce yourself to Prue after the long weekend that you've had, and sit back and relax and watch the rest of the race.
I'll probably jump out there again. You don't know what's going to happen, just to try and get some points. But I'll tell you what, I'm getting sick and tired of being in these positions. But I've probably got to have a look at myself and what's happening there. But especially 10 or 11 laps into super speedway, I don't think we need to be doing that. But that's okay. We live and we learn, and we go again next time.
That's exactly right. It's the right attitude to have, Aidan. Sorry for the start of your night, and hopefully we'll see you back out there towards the end of the race.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good call.
Thanks, mate.
Hopefully we'll get Aidan back in the booth sometime towards the end of the race rather than in the middle of it. And hopefully it will be at the very end of the race and he'll be in the top 3 at some stage, because he's been having a bit of a dire year, unfortunately, and a lot of it is just being wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, absolutely, that's the case, and it's very, very unfortunate for him. But we'll go through these patches when we're racing. We've heard Edward Foster talk about it as well. He's had a similar sort of luck on the oval at the start of the year. So you eventually get out of it. You get out of the patch, and things turn good for you.
That's it. You never know how your luck's going to go. As I said at the start of the broadcast, it is a little bit like gambling on a super speedway. Sometimes it can go well, sometimes it can go very badly. One of the big names taken out of that is Daniel Hedesheed. Of course, the second place man in the championship. He is out of the race and disconnected, which is really unfortunate for him because he's having a fantastic season. But this is not going to help him out for his championship hopes. Man that is going to help out a little bit is going to be Josh Mickelmore, of course. This is not too bad news for him, but there is still a long way to go. We've got 63 laps remaining. The pace truck is going to come in this time round. Mickelmore's going to lead off. Dylan's going to be on the outside. And there is a whole host of those Sim Boys cars around him at the moment. Those guys are looking very, very racy tonight. And they have got a lot of bullets left in their revolver. So they've got many, many chances left tonight, and they can work together. If they can break it out with each other, they can actually get a good jump here. But don't discount Mickelmore and Martin. Very, very crafty veterans and extremely fast as well. As Josh Mickelmore is going to lead us away on lap 13, it will be, as they cross the line of the Talladega round of the ANZCAR Trucks season number 2, round number 6 here on FGMeCAST.
As we go green, the flag waves, and Mickelmore there doesn't get quite as good a start as Aaron Dillon does on the outside. So Dillon very much awake there in the Simboys 13 or 013 entry. So looking for a smooth start here. We know cautions can breed cautions, but Mickelmore there has picked up the throttle and he is on his way with a 40 there. Cade Donnelly right behind him. As you said, Carl, there's 5 Simboys cars in the vicinity of the front here. We've got Jason Martin in a Sim sandwich there in the purple 21 entry. Mitch Motorsport Heavy wanting to get up on the back of Josh Mickelmore, his teammate, so they can work together as quickly as he can. But there's a fair bit of Simboys to contend with around him, so he's just going to have to bide his time a little bit. Very, very experienced racer Jason Martin has had a win this season, and he will be wanting to work with his teammate. In the background there as well, can't discount the likes of Christopher Finlay and Brenton Hobson as well, Jaden Russell. So it's a really, really strong lead pack here, and at the moment it's wide open as to who might take this one out.
It's very odd to say Jason Martin having a win in a season. I mean, we're used to saying Jason Martin with multiple wins. It's showing the level of competition at the moment in the series where somebody of the caliber of Jason Martin has only got the 1 win underneath his belt at the moment. It has really picked up this season with the competition, and that's what we love to see as well. It's always good to have that. But at the moment, you can see Jason's doing a great job of working his way up the field. He's right by Cade Donnelly at the moment. Now, this isn't a bad position for Donnelly at the moment, as well as Troy Davidson and Gary Wellman, actually, on that low line. Those cars are getting a nice line up there and are sitting behind the leader, so that's going to help their fuel mileage, of course. It won't help temperatures too much, but will help their fuel mileage a little bit. Mickelmore, meanwhile, is going to have to be punching a hole in the air at the moment for those cars behind him, and it is going to cause him a little bit of trouble, as it looks like there's somebody having a barbecue on the infield. I think that's Brent Hobson, or one of the cars on the infield was just merrily smoking away in the paddock. But yeah, the new smoke model, you can see it just drifting across the track there. It is something special. But that top line has just fallen away a little bit. You can see they've dropped all the way back past Troy Davidson as they just go past Noddy Tompkins there, just being lapped at the moment. But that top line has fallen off at the moment.
Yeah, indeed it has. Mickelmore, Donnelly and Martin here, just trying to keep it smooth. So I've just sent someone in the chat there just saying that the GoFundMe link isn't working. Appreciate you trying to donate to that cause, which is still available. I'll find out what that is and why that's the case, and we will let you know. You can jump onto our YouTube channel and donate via the channel. All proceeds going directly and 100% to that cause as well. If you can't get that done, there is a donation link on the YouTube channel as well. Did you see Russell and Hobson creating, Carl, a third lane here? So they're wanting to make a move together. We were speaking about them before. So they're now in that top lane, the outside of Dillon and Finlay. So we've got 3 wide here at the front for the first time tonight.
3 wide at the front, and those guys are trying to work it up there. Of course, teammates there of Hobbo and Russell. So 2 of the newer teams mates in the series, but making an absolute splash, these guys. They have been having a fantastic season so far, the first season in the ANZCAR series, and these guys have taken wins throughout the different series as well. So yeah, amazing work from all of those guys at the moment. But that high line, they're trying to make it work at the moment. You can see one of the Luke Trahir of the Crank Esports team just jumping up there, as well as I think Foster as well in an Atari car, and Ruben Phelps. So they're starting to look at 3 wide at the moment. The middle line is working quite well at the moment. You can see Jaden Russell just getting pushed along at the moment, coming out very well.
Yeah, indeed. And still basically got everyone together at the moment. I think it might be Dave Douglas back down at the back there. But other than that, everyone running in this pack. And it is extremely heated. I was going to say heated in there. Very, very, very much anyone's game as we see that move for Hobbo. And Jaden Russell pay off. Now move down into that middle lane. They're at the front here, running next to Josh Micklemore.
Because sometimes that high line can be a little bit easier on the tyres sometimes. Not by much, but just a little bit less. Just have to turn the wheel a little bit less, of course. So it's not quite as severe as some of the actual corners on the track. But sometimes that high line works a little bit better than the low line. So we'll see how that one pans out through the race, and hopefully we'll see some good racing, and hopefully won't see any cautions. That's the main thing. So at the moment, you can see Jaden Russell up the front with Brenton Hobson as well, just leading Josh Micklemore. And we know that Josh brought some of these drivers through, so possibly some inter-team aid there. As I said at the start of the broadcast, expect a few people to work together with teammates and try and get this working with a few other teams, because if you don't have 4 or 5 cars in your team, then sometimes working with a fellow team can really help you out.
Yeah, absolutely, Carl. Sorry, I was just updating the link there because I realised that the stream link for the donation for the event last week was on the computer that we used temporarily for the stream because we were out with electrical storms in Melbourne. So I've just updated that on the YouTube channel there. So that is active if you would love to donate. But the teammates there, Russell and Hobson, now take the lead. Josh Micklemore back into 3rd place. And Jason Martin hasn't managed to quite get up onto the back of his teammate either. So Micklemore there is a little isolated, but doing a good job nonetheless with 20 laps in.
Yeah, and what's good for Micklemore at the moment is he's just 2 cars behind. That's going to help his fuel a little bit now. So he's not the leading car. He's not punching a hole through the air. And as you said, with the GoFundMe link for the Prelude to the Dream, of course, we have updated that. If you go onto the socials, you will find the replay for that race lurking around. We managed to get a working replay up for everybody so they can watch that race. Of course, a very fun dirt race. Won't spoil the winners here today, as somebody has a big moment in the mid pack there. Adam Rosell there just had a big moment in the Valvoline car. He had a big side slapper on him and managed to keep it going, but that was almost a big moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are having a look at that replay, do jump in and give the channel, Carl put that together for us, and do jump in and give his channel a big thumbs up and a subscribe on YouTube as he pushes towards 1,000 subscribers. A good achievement by anyone's measure, and I think he's only a couple away now as well if he hasn't already gone past it. So jump in, make sure you subscribe to help Carl out on his own channel as well.
I keep that. I try not to self-promote too much on that one. But yeah, thank you very much to everybody that has jumped on board there. It's a big help. But at the moment, Jaden Russell doing a good job. You've got Aaron Dillon right on the outside at the moment as well. So they're trying to push forwards. We've got that 3rd line working again with Trahair, Foster, and trying to see who that is in the background. It's one of the Pace Syndicate cars of James Robbie there as well. So not too many cars up on that high line at the moment. You can see Aaron Dillon just pushing up a little bit. That's going to give Ryan Wooden a chance to come down into the middle, and that's going to give him the chance to get up ahead of this race as Aaron Dillon goes up high. You can see there Norman Clark squeezing through as well. He's going to get up a position as well. That high line is just going to drop back right now because they sort of got a little bit of a check-up and they're just going to fall far back at the moment, but expect them to get some pace back in this race as it goes on. So keep an eye on that high line. It will start to push up once again as soon as they settle it out, as soon as they get used to everybody they're driving with.
Yeah, absolutely they will. So see how this one plays out for them.
We're seeing some good pack racing at the moment. Lap 23, we've still got a good 52 laps remaining in this race, but good pack racing at the moment. Everybody's keeping very close. You can see Ryan Wooden there is right on the back of Josh Micklemore. He's got to be a little bit careful of that because he's right underneath the rear spoiler at the moment, and you're going to get a lot of that hot air from the exhaust of Micklemore getting into the radiator of Wooden there, and that's going to start overheating that truck a little bit. So you just got to be a little bit careful of running that close in the 165. It can be very, very easy to get. Sorry, 195 isn't. Can be very easy to get up close there and just sit there for a bit too long, and then all of a sudden the truck will go pop on you.
Yeah, very much about a race of management, that is for sure.
And it's a different kind of management as well. We're used to seeing tyre management, things like that, but when you're running in hot conditions and running on super speedways, it's all about keeping the truck as cool as possible. You can see up the top, Stephen Williams is having a good run at the moment with Trahair just behind him. So that top line is starting to run up quite well at the moment. So they are having a good run there.
Seeing there that Donnelly's just dropped back a little bit too. This 3-wide running, talking about how difficult this race would be to run just under normal circumstances, but we've had some really solid green flag racing here, and cars either side of you. It is definitely going to test the drivers. Also, Carl, we're just talking about the new damage model. You can see there the 350, or you can't see, of Michael Skurlock there, just missing the door on that car as well. That's been ripped off in the incident earlier on for him. So that new damage model, that'll be affecting him a little bit as well.
Will be. Also the back right quarter panel as well, that is ripped off completely, so he's going to be losing a little bit of aero. I mean, there's obviously it's not fully working, I'd say, at the moment, because there seems to be just a few specks of car just sitting in the ether at the moment, but it is a very cool looking system. You can sort of see the damage on there, and just missing that door is going to affect him quite a lot. It'll keep him nice and cool in the truck, of course, but it's not going to help the aerodynamics.
No, it'll be creating that extra drag. So he's currently running behind Stephen Williams, who's also got a little bit of damage to the back of the 98. And Steve doing another good job here tonight, already up 26 positions. Just pretty much fundamental of the reigning Series 1 truck champion, of course. But consistency is key here. As we talk about consistency, Edward Foster up as well. He's up 18 spots into the top 10. And he'll be looking to use that to his advantage tonight. Of course, challenger Micklemore running near him as well, so he'll be wanting to push ahead with this one when he can.
The important thing for Edward Foster is he's got Norman Clark right in front of him at the moment. He's got his teammate working with him, so that's good news for the Natari Autosport team with that wonderful Bumblebee design on him, of course, representing the fantastic broadcasting of FGMeCAST, but they are doing a good job up there, running close together, which is what you want with teammates. You can see up on that high line, you've got Skurlock and Trahair running behind Stevie Dub in the DPR car. I saw Stephen Williams in the Blackjack Daniels DPR car, but he's got the two teammates of Skurlock and Trahair just behind him, so those guys are going to be running nice and close to each other. Again, teammates trying to work it into it so they can get all of their cars in a row, so they can start working together as this race goes on. Of course, the longer this goes, the closer we get to the end, the better it is to have the teammates up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone here doing a really, really good job with the drive. Just noticing, obviously, Aaron Dillon's dropped back a ways.
He's got shuffled down the pack quite a bit. He joined that high line a little bit earlier on, and it didn't work out for him. He got shuffled right back down the pack. At the moment, Foster has actually jumped out of his position. He's jumped up to try and get on that high line, and that might shuffle him down the pack as well. You can see that high line is just dropping off a little bit as soon as anyone joins the front of the pack. Stevie Stephen Williams is doing a great job of pushing at the moment, but he doesn't seem to be quite as comfortable in following. So that's the other big thing about pack racing. Sometimes you're more comfortable when you're actually leading than you are being the car that follows. Sometimes that can even be because of damage. Stephen Williams has got a little bit of damage on that truck as well, so mainly on the rear quarter panel, as somebody's just had a big moment in the infield there of Dave Douglas. Mr. Double D, Dave Douglas there, has had a bit of a issue, it seems, so he's managed to get it back going. So some kind of issue for Double D, Dave Douglas.
Yes, I was just watching there and seeing Foster's now jumped up into that high line again. Traher has moved down into the middle lane, so everyone's just trying a few things out here. Lap 30, 31 this time.
Ruben Phelps jumps up to the high line now, getting in the prime position, and that's probably not going to be wanted by those guys running that high line at the moment. You can see James Robbie just behind him at the moment, but Ruben's got a bit of damage on the front of that truck, so that's going to cause a little bit of struggle for them, because it's just going to cause that little bit of extra drag for them pushing through it. So not what you want is a front damaged truck, but they are doing a good job of that high line at the moment. They are running 3 wide as we are on lap 30 at the moment. 3 wide, this sort of without too many laps past is brave, as we heard Aidan Schultz talking about earlier before. You sort of generally 2 lines is preferable at this stage of the race, because you don't want to be pushing too hard. But Pace Syndicate have also got 2 of their cars up in the, well, I'd say the top 10, but it's ever changing top 20 at the moment, because they are running so close together.
Yeah, absolutely they are, and you can see there the 41 of James Robbie right on the rear bumper of Ruben Phelps. So this is helping that low line as well as they continue to push ahead. They was getting a bit squirrely in there as well. So this is tiring. These guys will be working real hard at the moment just to keep your focus on your own lane. Make sure you don't end up drifting or breaking loose. As you just see there, the 41 of James Robbie get up into the fence. So that's going to hurt that train in the top line. They're going to drop way back. You can see Phelps there just losing a lot of momentum and dropping K's down as well. So that's really hurt that line. It helps these guys who are running in that middle lane.
Yeah, Ryan Wooden as well, just getting a bit of a wobble on again. He's just keeps getting a little bit of a wobble on in the mid corner sometimes. Just struggling a little bit in that truck, it seems. He's still running up in a good position though, but occasionally he'll just get a little bit of a wobble on, and then that will make people just ease off a little bit, just think twice. So we've seen that a couple of times. That high line has disappeared. Aaron Dillon, meanwhile, has worked his way back up into 8th position. We saw him drop down into about 20th position a couple of laps ago. He's now back up into the 8th position, and this is what we talk about with this pack racing, is all of a sudden your luck can change and you can come a lot higher, but all it takes is one small mistake and then you go basically you're out of the race.
Yeah, it's all about patience and managing the race, isn't it? I mean, we're not even halfway through the race yet. We're getting towards it, but just managing the race, managing your time, and just making sure that you're in a position to take advantage when that sort of last 15 or so laps comes about, so you can, whoa, gee whiz, there's a 195 there if Wooden gets real loose. But you just want to make sure you're there or thereabouts when we get to the end of this one. But at the moment, Mickelmore, Russell Hobson doing a good job on the low line, just getting a little bit over the apron there, a little bit squirrely. I think maybe just a little bit cautious of Wooden there, who might have just been losing the truck a little bit. He's now under pressure from Norm Clark in that top line. Oh, it's down the infield there. I think it's Luke Trahare's gone around in what is a solo incident as he gets back out onto the track. So no caution caused there, but he's had a big solo spin there by himself.
Yeah, just got helped a little bit by Gary Wellman there. So just Gary Wellman just getting into the back quarter panel of Traher there, just giving him a little tag, and that's what caused him to go spinning around, going across that little bit of tarmac and then across the grass. A great save by Luke there. That was a fantastic save. We've seen some mega saves this year, and that's going to be up there, because that would have been an enormous crash.
Yeah, in fact, you're right there. Traher just getting the help off, so he's managed to grab hold of that one, giving those folks down there in the camper vans a good showing down the inside. So Good catch there from Trahir. He'll be counting his blessings.
Yeah, he got very lucky with that one indeed. So good news for Luke, but unfortunately no caution. So that's going to drop him right to the back of the field, and he's going to have a torrid time to try and get back there without a caution flag coming out. So we'll see how that goes, and that's really affected that second line at the moment. They're going 4 wide, a little bit further down. You can see Aaron Dillon caught in the middle of that. This is getting a little bit messy now in that mid-pack. Those cars are just trying to sort themselves out to get a second line going, and everybody wanted to lead there for a second. Nobody wanted to be the bridesmaid. Everybody wanted to be the bride. You can't have that in a race like this, because you will end up with a big crash or losing a lot of positions. And the person that got affected most from that, I think, was Edward Foster. He shuffled all the way down a fair bit, so that really cost him a fair few positions, but he should be able to work himself back up shortly. But that was a bit of a messy rejoining there.
So I actually didn't think it was that bad. I mean, yeah, he's definitely got shuffled a lot further back, but he's down in the low line now. He was caught in that high line for quite some time, so he'll be able to manage things a little bit from here and make his move up into the midline when it suits him. Of course, we could see a caution period any tick of the clock. That might help him out as well.
Sorry, it was Norman Clark I was looking at. Yeah, it was... Norman got caught up in that one a little bit more, but yeah, it's sorted itself out now. It was just that moment where everybody sort of was jostling around for position, and when you're doing that at sort of close to 300 kilometers per hour, it can become very dicey very quickly, of course. And that's the tricky bit, is trying to shuffle your cars into a good line at nearly 300 kilometers per hour while you've got 2 cars beside you and you're looking ahead and behind you.
Brings new meaning to doing anything at the shops, doesn't it, when you're doing 300 k's an hour, trying to effectively park your car between parallel lines for 4 miles at a time, as Dylan there gets aggressive and just chucks the 013 down into the low line. Does a good job too, so that helps him. He'll benefit from that, getting out of that top pack, which has just been a little bit unsettled over the last few laps. I think he'll enjoy being back down in behind Ruben Phelps there. Yeah,
it's a thing of just everybody's just got to settle a little bit now, because you can see everybody's a little bit tense at the moment. Nobody's quite settled into a position again. We had that lovely long spell where everybody was working well with each other, and then all of a sudden things started to go a little bit skew with, and that was sort of caused a little bit with that Luke Trahir incident, and that really knocked a few people about and changed their nights. Just having a little bit of a look down the field, and I've just noticed Matty Raymond unfortunately has retired his truck, so Mr. Sheen not keeping it so clean tonight. He got caught up with an earlier incident, quite a lot of damage to that vehicle, so he's had to call it a night, unfortunately.
Absolutely, and at this juncture, just a quick reminder, if you are watching, welcome to the stream. You are watching the ANZCAR Truck Series live from Talladega, 75-lap race here tonight, and we're just over halfway through that now, round 6 of the second series of 2021. And we're thrilled to have you on board here. If you are liking what you're seeing, do help us out by hitting that subscribe button, turn on those notifications so you don't miss a broadcast from us. We're generally broadcasting 4 nights a week with a mixture of track and oval track racing. So circuit and oval track racing is what I meant to say, but a good mixture of stuff there. Generally it's Carl and myself who are there. Oh, we've got a spin there.
There's a big incident at the front. Jaden Russell getting caught with that one. And you can see there, that was Edward Foster getting caught by Jaden Russell, and that has caused a big crash. Josh Micklemore, the big one to get caught out in that. You can see he's just speared into the cars. That is the big one. That you're not going to get much bigger than that. That's taken out pretty much the whole field.
That is going to hurt a lot. Josh Micklemore, we're just on board with him at the moment. We'll catch up with that one. Just saw there Ed Foster just getting a little bit of help in that rear quarter, and that ended up turning him. And the rest is history after that. Let's jump on board with Foster and have a look at that from his perspective.
So yeah, you can just see the tail end of that. He just gets caught a little bit by, looks like Jaden Russell. And that's what caused that one. You can see so many trucks getting caused big damage there. Too many to mention there, in all honesty. There are just so many trucks getting caught up in that. Just seeing if there's many good luck stories in that one, but I don't think there's going to be too many. I think the luckiest one in all of that incident was probably Edward Foster himself, because he got spun in the right direction again. He basically got tapped and then tapped back in the right direction. So it kind of worked out okay for him. But so many trucks behind him have been taken out of this race. Stephen Williams, you can just see their tail end of the picture there, just sliding through out of the picture there. He got caught up in a big way. A lot of damage out there now. This is going to be a big one. This is going to affect a lot of drivers' positions and a lot of. This is going to be a big effect to the end of the race.
Everyone jumping into pit lane as well, of those that aren't in there because they need to be. And there'll be a fair few there who'll be very, very frustrated with the outcome of that one. A lot of innocent bystanders I've got on the list here. Skurlock, Vickers, Williams, Finlay, Donnelly, Preece, just to name a few of those who were involved in that incident. So big championship implications as well.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of the leaders and higher up in the championship. I was talking earlier about how good it was looking for Josh Micklemore for the championship. Now that has all gone away. And the big winner out of all of that in championship standings is Foster. He's right up there at the pointy end of the field. He's going to be starting up in front now. But, of course, he has got a little bit of damage on that truck. His teammate is a bit further down in Norman Clark, so he doesn't have too much to help him around him. Gotta say, it's looking good for Russell and Hobson as well. They've got 2 cars up there as well. Andrew Dyson's worked his way up there. Jason Martin managed to keep out of trouble, and a lot of the Sim Boys cars as well are still looking good at the moment. So there's a few cars that got caught out badly in that. Cade Donnelly, of course, pole sitter, he got very damaged in that. Christopher Finlay as well. So this is the thing about Sim Boys having a fair few bullets in the gun at the moment. They've got that sort of extra bullet chambered, so they can sort of have an accident like that and keep their cars going. But some of the big names in that are taken out quite quickly.
Hey, what? We were just talking about people who got lucky. Andrew Dyson was one of them. I just saw on the notes there that he went off track. And the reason he went off track was because he was avoiding the whole incident down in the infield. That's helped him. Got straight into pit lane. And he's going to come out in 4th position. So a good one there for Dyso.
Yeah, it's a very... Look, again, as I was saying, sometimes it's good to have that luck with you, and he had that luck with him there. A man that didn't have quite as much luck earlier on in the race was Steve Hoppett, just jumping down into the chat, letting us know he gained 5 positions earlier on and then got caught up in that early incident, unfortunately, that early caution, and that brought an end to his race. Really unfortunate for Steve, one of the long-term competitors in the series, and it's always a shame when we see somebody like that out early. We like to see them having a good run, so... I hope you see you back soon, Steve. Keep well, mate. And, commiserations for tonight. Hopefully, we'll see you back in the truck soon. A guy that has worked out quite well is Luke Traher as well. We saw him having that spin earlier on. He managed to avoid that wreck because he had plenty of time in hand, of course. He was quite far off the back of the field. But that has given him the chance to catch right back up, and he's going to be sitting in a relatively good position with relatively little damage to that truck. So that could be very useful for Luke Traher. That could be the thing that salvages his night for him. But we are going to be going back to green flag racing soon. Edward Foster's going to lead from Jaden Russell. Yeah,
and just quickly, Scotty Rankin, Ryan Jones and Michael Shaw, also big benefactors. 27, 24 and 27 places up respectively. So a good effort from them, particularly with Jones and Shaw as well, starting from the rear of the grid at the start of the race.
Yeah, of course, former commentator for the ANZCAR series, Ryan Jones, doing a good job out there tonight. Always good to see Ryan doing well, and best wishes to his mum as well. Hopefully she is doing well. And nice to see Scotty Rankin, of course, voice of the Oz Pro-Am series occasionally, and one of our fellow commentators for FGM. Nice to see him having a good run out there. Let's hope he can continue the good run as it keeps going.
Yeah, I reckon he'll be wrapped to be in the position he is in at the moment. So able to manage his own race a little bit, stay out of all of the traffic, and get that one done. So we'll see where we go from here. It's Foster and Russell on the front row. Hobson, Dyson, Davison, Martin, Dylan, Wellman, Rankin and Mick Taylor rounding out our top 10 here as we're going to get back underway from our second caution period tonight at Talladega, round 6 of the Oz. ANZCAR, I should say. ANZCAR Truck Series. About to make a slip there and say the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series after you mentioned it just before, but the ANZCAR Truck Series, of course, as the pace car pulls in, or pace truck pulls in. Going to be at the control of Edward Foster here. You know, plenty of experience in getting these things restarted, so long run back around the last corner before we head down towards the start-finish line. So we've got plenty of time to plan when he lets this one go. It's everyone else just jogging on the spot, wondering when he is going to drop the hammer and get us back underway here.
I'll say he's going to wait until he gets very close to the line. You can see he's just waiting. He's not doing it yet. He's trying to catch him out, and he goes now. He drops it quite close to the line. Jaden Russell's going to get a little bit of an advantage because of that cleaner truck. He's got a little bit of a cleaner nose than Foster, but both of those guys running a little bit of damage. Foster managing that low line, though, and that seems to be the quicker line tonight, so he's going to want to just stick there at the moment. But that high line is pushing quite well. You can see Andrew Dyson pushing Jaden Russell with Jason Martin just behind him. They are getting a good amount of speed at the moment. Russell slides down in front of it, cuts down in front there, and leaves Andrew Dyson to the lead. You can see Foster just getting a little bit tail happy behind Jaden Russell there. Dyson is going to want to try and get out in front now, try and drag along Jason Martin as well if he can. But you can see Dyson doing a good job up there with the Phoenix Smokers DPR car. Good first time out with that truck sponsorship. He's getting a good bit of coverage for it. Jason Martin now going to be the leader of that top line, and he's going to want to try and get in front. You can see Dyson just easing off a little bit to help Jason there, just dropping down. And I think you're going to see Jason Martin just slide in front of Dyson in the next lap or so. We'll see how this one pans out, but it looks like Dyson and Martin might be just trying to help each other a little bit there. Just not pushing as hard as they can do, just try and get themselves linked into a fairly good position. But of course, those guys not working with each other fully, but they're just going to want to try and try to help each other out from that little bit of push there. So they're just working sort of with each other in this respect, but not fully, sort of a collaboration, you'd sort of call it.
Scotty Rankin got a good restart there as well. He's jumped now up into 5th place. Running next to Foster. He's got Luke Trahere right behind him, who equally got a good restart. So a number of the guys, as you said, this has helped Mitch Motorsport. Jason Martin there in the 21. I reckon he's got that done now. He's getting real close to getting it done. I saw Ruben Phelps there, I think, in the background, just running quite high in the line. Stick with this one, though, just to make sure. In fact, it was the 195. And there's a car there. It's Christopher Finlay, we'll call it a truck. There's half a truck there on the outside line. He's getting the much benefit of the drag from Trahere in front of him as they jump in behind to create that third line. The 195 of Ryan Wooden, it's working well for him. It's Scotty Rankin there, just getting a little close for comfort down, running in that mid lane. So it's just madness here at the front again. We've got 3 wide. Everyone just getting a little bit loose, just holding on to it. You can see Wellman there just getting a little bit squirrely as well behind Jason Martin. So we're 3 wide still. I think we've been 3 wide now for at least a lap. Trahere benefiting from here. He's got a bit of pace now with the Crank Esports 43 entry as well. So we've got now 6 cars just at the front here. 3 wide, nose to tail. It's fantastic racing from these guys at the front. This is why ANZCAR is the premier oval track series in Australia. Look at this racing that we're getting here. Now got 3 by 3, like playing a game of Tetris. Where can you fit your truck in here to get a piece of the action? You've got to be in the right lane. So looking to go 4 wide here, the 45 of Gary Wellman. Just seeing if there's any room underneath Jason Martin, if you don't mind. I don't think the track's that wide.
Well, you can make it that wide if you are incredibly careful, but that is something you want to save until the last lap. You don't want to be doing it too early because it is a real dangerous game. It's like playing solo Russian roulette, really. You are probably going to win, but you don't want to be that person that gets the victory with that one. You can see Wellman just sliding down in front of Dyson right there, and Ryan Wooden now up in that second line. Jason Martin now leading the bottom charge at the moment. Wooden is right at the front there as well. You can see Scotty Rankin, I think that is on the outside. He's just trying for the outside line. He's getting that little bit of side draft, but he's not getting much help out there as Wooden comes down to lead the front line. He's got Luke Traher just behind him at the moment. So these guys are shuffling through at the moment, seeing who's got the cleanest truck, seeing who can actually carry on with that speed. But as more trucks slide off of that top line and fit into the bottom line, lock themselves in there, it is going to become harder and harder for that top line to find speed. So they've really got to start working together now, just getting that high line working in a good formation to get speed out of it, because otherwise they could start losing out. You can see they're getting a bit of pace now as they go past Kate Donnelly there on the high line. This is where, of course, free wide racing is tricky, as if you start getting into some traffic like that, because there's not much room for the traffic to go anywhere, but luckily they were too wide for that moment. Luke Traher leading the top line, Ryan Wooden at the bottom. We have got 2 wide here at Talladega with 28 laps remaining.
Yeah, there's a few losers out of that, unfortunately. So Edward Foster slips right back down to 10th after running as high as 5th. And, of course, he was on the front row for the restart. So he's dropped down in this. Good news for him, his truck is still relatively clean. He's got Scotty Rankin to his outside. Andrew Dyson also just jogging on the spot a little bit at the moment. He's got Russell right behind him. And Traher, the biggest winner out of the restart, moving right up into the front row here. So he's doing a ripping job. He got a little bit of assistance in spinning out earlier on in the race, and that dropped him right to the back of the pack, but he was in a good position when the last caution came out, and he got a heck of a restart. So he's now up battling for the lead with Ryan Wooden. And of course, you've got Jason Martin there, experienced campaigner, right behind him. He knows exactly where he wants to be at this point in the race, and is just managing his way through. The 45 behind him of Gary Wellman as well. So there's plenty of experience up at the front of the pack here as James Robbie just drops another spot there. But these guys will be pretty happy, I think, at this stage of the race to be where they are. Christopher Finlay, I don't understand how that car has any pace whatsoever. There's fewer panels on it than there should be. So he's doing a good job as well in the 104 entry that has suffered a little bit tonight, but is still in this pack, right behind Ruben Phelps, and I believe that's Norm Clark in front of him. Edward Foster in front of him, in fact.
Yeah, that truck's about 50 kilograms lighter than it was at the start of the race. So I think that might be helping it a little bit. Weight reduction system in full effect there. That Highline's getting a good little bit of pace now. You can see Luke Traher just running out with the 41 behind him of James Robbie. So James Robbie getting a good run. You were saying about experience up at the top of the field. We've got a lot of experience, but we've also got some inexperience as well, at least for oval racing. You know, you've got to say Andrew Dyson, one of those drivers, very, very experienced in ANZCAR now, but a specialist on the twisty stuff on road tracks. Scotty Rankin as well, not so much experience on the ovals. So those guys are running up, doing a fantastic job at the moment. Luke Traher as well, he's one of those drivers that has had a good career in ANZCAR so far, but he is a little bit less experienced on the ovals than some of them out there, although he has got a good year or so under his belt. So, you know, a lot of those drivers up the front, there's a good mix of experience and some slightly inexperience, you got to say, but they have all got some seasoned pedigree behind them. That's the main thing. They sort of know what they're doing. It's just they haven't done it too often.
Ed Foster there just trying to go into the third lane, create that high line. No one really wanted to go with him though, so he's just slotted straight back in there behind Gary Wellman, and he's just had to jog on the spot. In fact, my apologies, he's slot just back in behind Scott Rankin. And they need to do something. If they're going to do something, they will need to start making a move soon. Still got 25 to go, so still a little bit of time. But, you know, the guys at the front here aren't getting any slower. So that third lane might be their only option at this point in time.
I was about to say, I mean, we've got a lot of race still to go with, say, 25 laps still remaining of this one, so there is still a long way to go in this race. It's not over by a long shot. So again, it's keeping patient in this situation and not putting yourself in a position where you're going to lose too many spots now. You don't want to be right at the end of this field in case there is a spinner, but you don't want to be sort of right in the sort of, you know, not necessarily at the front of the field, because sometimes that can be a disadvantage as well. So it's sort of keeping in those spots is a good position to be in. You're just keeping yourself settled there, just getting used to running there. You can see Ryan Wooden just having a bit of a run now. He's getting into the high line now, dropping up, jumping up above Luke Traher. getting in front of James Robbie right now, so he's going to try and get the lead of this race back. But sometimes leading it at this point is not always the best thing, so it's just getting that sort of settled momentum at the moment, just getting settled behind another car, working out who you can work with for the end of the race, because we still got a long way to go in this one. As we say, we're on lap 52 of 75, still a long way to go in this race. Still a lot of heartbreak to come as Ryan Wooden and Luke Traher get so close to making contact there.
Yeah, I was just trying to jump on board so we could get a snap of that. I was watching, waiting for it to happen, but Traher, he gets a move on now. He's out in the lead. You can see Jason Martin in the 21 right behind him. That cost Wooden a little bit there. And just in the background, I believe that was Wellman and James Robbie getting close to greeting doors as well. So starting to get a little loose. Did stop on lap 39. So these tyres are starting to get a little bit worn as we're side by side here again between Wooden and Traher.
I've got Wooden as staying out there for a fair amount of time. He's done a fair few more laps than the rest of the field on my screen.
Yeah, you've called him, mate. He's 4 laps earlier, did Ryan Wooden.
So it shouldn't be affecting him too much because tyre wear is Talladega is not a super bad tyre wear place, but as those tyres do drop off a little bit, the car does get a little bit loose, and you can see Wooden just struggling a little bit there. He's doing a great job up there this high position, but he is struggling a little bit. You just see occasionally just getting that little bit loose and just having to correct the car a little bit, but he is still up there, still up in the lead of the race at the moment with Luke Traher. He's doing a fantastic job up there, but it's definitely not too easy for him. So doing a good job, but definitely not having the easiest drive.
Yeah, you just having to keep catching it, and unfortunately at some stage you just know that you might just not catch it. So it's going to manage things here. First to finish first, you have to finish. So
yeah, as the great Mario Andretti said, with that one, it is an important one to do, and it's something you do have to remember in racing is, it's all very good to be leading and to be fast, but you do have to finish a race to get the points, as Luke Traher just has a little bit of a moment on the exit of the corner. That's going to give that high line a really good shout, and you can see there Ryan Wooden taking the opportunity to get back on that low line. He's probably going to be a little bit more comfortable down there. Car's going to be a little less wobbly on that low line, especially with him in the lead, but this is giving James Robbie the opportunity on the outside there in the Pace Syndicate car to get a good run up. He has got Nathan Clark right behind him, his teammate. So again, Pace Syndicate having a very good run as Nathan Clark gets a little bit squirrely there, but doing a great job up there at the moment. Pace Syndicate with James Robbie and Nathan Clark. Good to see them having a good run out there tonight. Look for them to probably just try and get in front of Ryan Wooden for this one, with the wonderful Fork and Q beef jerky sponsored livery on that truck. But look for them to try and get out in front. But there are still a lot of cars behind them, still a lot of trucks waiting to make their move, not pushing too hard too early, just waiting to pounce at the moment.
Yeah, those pace guys running within a millimetre of one another, and I reckon they're going to move down now and just close the door there, and they do that on the 195 of Ryan Wooden. So teammates now in the lead. Wooden got a good drive though there as well, so he's right back up on the back of Nathan Clark. Might have been a little bit of a touch there as he pulls down onto the infield just to avoid it. Pulls back up in front of Scotty Rankin as well. That causes some issues, and that's let Edward Foster and Ruben Phelps get the push on in that high lane now. So they're putting the pressure on the Pace Syndicate boys, and you can just see there Wooden just on the back of the Pace Syndicate trucks as once again Clark just starts getting a little loose on the exit of the corners. Not really enjoying this close running here. You can see him there again, just struggling to keep that truck smooth. Phelps.
I'd say a lot of that's down to the front aero damage on him. He's got a lot of damage on the front right of that truck. Not as much as Christopher Finley, but he's got a lot of damage on the front right of that truck, and I think that's causing him to have a little bit of issue running this close to the pack. He's just struggling a little bit to keep the aero of that car in a nice condition. So, as he gets loose again, he manages to snap back there. that is getting so close. So Nathan Clark, it's looking a little bit struggle. He's definitely struggling, and I'd say that's mainly down to the aero just being that little bit bent and washed out, so it's causing the truck to just wobble in a direction that he's not quite used to, especially when he gets the side draft on him. You can see as soon as Foster gets close to him up at the side, all of a sudden that truck gets really, really loose and very leery and hard to handle.
Yeah, and then you got the 195 as well of Wooden just behind him, and once he pulls out as well, that just distracts him a little bit too. So there's plenty going on to concentrate with here, let alone a truck that wants to do a little bit of its own thing on the exit of corners. Again, it's just getting real loose. Can't get much closer to James Robbie in front of him, but Ryan Wooden is just going to get right up behind him here as well and put the pressure on. So 18 to go here. It's going to be a battle for the 6 of Nathan Clark to finish this one out where he is. Wooden's just trying to make the move here. He's not sure whether or not to go into that middle lane. If he does, Scotty Rankin will probably want to go with him. Try and make the move. Oh, there's a motor.
Nathan Clark's engine has gone. I was about to say, Stuart, Nathan Clark has to watch out running that close because he has got some damage on the front of that truck, and I expect his engine is going to start overheating because he was running right up underneath James Robbie, and it has happened. It was a couple of seconds before I could say it, so I didn't get the full value of that one, but yeah, he was running so close to the back of James Robbie. That was a matter of when, not if, unfortunately. And I was about to say with Nathan Clark, he's got a lot of experience on dirt tracks. It's Ruben Phelps and James Robbie just making a tiny bit of contact there. I think that was so close there.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if it was Phelps that got him.
Oh, it was a bit of both, actually. So he actually got a bit of a push from Ryan Wooden just behind him. Ryan got underneath the back of him, pushed him forwards a little bit, and then up into Phelps. So there was just that little bit of contact there. So not the lap Pace Syndicate would have wanted. They've gone from having 2 cars at the front of this race to being towards the back of the grid now. That is a disastrous lap for them. That high line now is being led by Christopher Finlay's chassis, his roll cage, because there is no longer a truck there. I think there is about 2 panels left on that vehicle, and they're mainly at the roof and the back end of that truck. But he's doing a great job of keeping speed in that thing, despite missing the whole left-hand side of it.
It does show you that iRacing got a little bit more work to do on the damage model when a car with that much panel damage can be up the front of the race. Dave Douglas, though, has just samurai'd himself up into the front of this one. He's just got nice and quietly about his business and has appeared out of nowhere in 5th position. So he is going to be pacey towards the end of this one. Still 15 to go. Edward Foster leads it from Ruben Phelps. Ryan Wooden as well is just behind him. So there's a good old Double D 199 in the Rowdy Energy.com entry. It could be on for a podium here as well. So there is plenty of action still coming. Don't write off Brenton Hobson either, or Jaden Russell in this one. Of course, Luke Trahair down in 11th was running up the front. Scotty Rankin as well. So they just lost out a little bit in that pack, dropping it down the field. But they could get back up there. Dave Douglas couldn't get much closer to the back of Finlay if he tried. And they will be wanting to get on with it as well. So they probably prefer not to have the damaged car leading the pack. And Hobson's right behind him, as is Aaron Dillon, who's managed to make his way back up to the front of this one after, again, getting caught out in one of the drop-offs of the higher line.
One of the good things for Dave is, of course, there's not many panels left on the car in front of him, so he's going to get lots of air onto his radiator at least. So that's some good news for Dave Douglas. But don't discount Dave. He's got a lot of experience on these super speedways, a couple of super speedways wins in the Cup Series as well. So a lot of experience, and he's gotten the W next to his name a few times on this kind of track. Christopher Finlay as well. He's had an impressive race with that damage as well. Just a really good job of getting that truck, keeping it going and keeping it up at the top end as well. Fantastic job as they come up to Stephen Williams there on the high line, just getting another lap down. Stephen Williams running down in 23rd position, 2 laps down now, unfortunately, from an earlier incident. But Christopher Finlay getting a big push from Dave Douglas at the moment. You can see the remnants of that Simboy's truck is working its way up the field nicely once again, but can't quite get out in front. Ruben Phelps just sitting on the tail of Foster at the moment, pushing those two along. Those two are working together quite well. They seem to be able to work together as a team quite well. And just behind them as well, you've got Ryan Wooden as well. Don't discount him. We've seen he's got a lot of pace in that vehicle. Not the most stable of trucks, but he's been able to keep it there all night long.
Yeah, most definitely. So 13 to go. And yeah, I don't know really where to look at the moment. We've basically got everyone in the top 15, I reckon, who've got a chance at getting a run, getting to the front of the field. Still time. Just from this side, Christopher Finlay's truck looks basically brand new. Didn't tell the true story of his night, though. So we have another look at the innards of that Tundra.
No, you'd park that truck next to a wall on the driver's side, wouldn't you? And say, yeah, you can buy it. It's a steal. It's a bargain. You know, we'll only charge you, you know, a couple $100 for it. And
used on Sundays.
Yeah, that's it. You know, one careful driver, yeah, then you go and look at the side that you don't see when you're buying it, and have a bit of a shocker for it. But he's doing a good job up there. He's just keeping Dave Douglas behind him. You can see Hobson as well, just back there, as well as Andrew Dyson and Jaden Russell, Aaron Dillon as well. Those guys all working together. As was that Ryan Wooden?
Ryan Wooden jumping into pit lane. Maybe a bit nervous he's not going to make it.
Yeah, I would say they should be okay. Oh, wait, no, Ryan Wooden had to stop. He stopped earlier than everybody else, remember? So he is probably shy on fuel by a good couple of laps, unfortunately. And he's made a bit of a pig's ear on that pit stop, unfortunately. So disaster for Ryan there. I think everybody else is going to be fine to the end, but that extra 4 or 5 laps that Ryan Wooden had out on the track has cost him dearly.
So looking at Phelps there as well, obviously running so close for such a long period of time. He doesn't have the damage on the front of that truck, but also probably has to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, you can see though with Ruben, he's weaving that truck left to right behind Foster at the moment. The air temperature is steadily creeping up. Actually, it's a little bit higher than it was before, so it's gone up about 1 or 2 degrees. But you can see with Ruben, he's just keeping that truck left to right, so he's getting some fresh air on the radiator at the moment. And that's something that Nathan Clark wasn't doing. He was sat right underneath the back of his teammate and was not really getting much air onto the radiator, and that's what caused that engine to go poppity pop. So that's the difference. And as I said, that's something to do with the experience as well. Nathan Clark, amazing dirt driver, has taken out a victory in the dirt on one of the dirt ovals as well. We know he's quick on dirt. We know as well James Robbie as well. Those two are dirt specialists, but maybe not the experience on the super speedways. And I think that might have been the thing that caught him out, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Disappointing. It was a really good run from him. So I've got 9 to go this time around. Edward Foster leads from Christopher Finlay still in that very, very damaged truck. Ruben Phelps in 3rd, Jaden Russell 4th. We've got Douglas and Hobson 5th and 6th. Dillon and Dyson 7th and 8th, with Trahere and Riley Curtis rounding out our top 10 with 9 to go at Talladega.
Big question is with Ryan Wooden coming in, do they all have enough fuel to get there? You know, it might be a little bit dicey for Foster because he's been in the lead of this race for quite a long time. The same for Christopher Finlay as well. Those two trucks have been punching a hole in the air. They will have been using a little bit more fuel. They might be getting a little bit shy. They might be running on vapours towards the end, and you might have a bit of a cough and a splutter for one of those trucks. So don't discount this. Race is not over for sure, and it could be right down to the wire. We could be talking about vapours getting the win of this race right now. But Foster's looking pretty comfortable at the moment out in front. I think if he was having any concerns about fuel, I think he would have dropped behind probably Ruben Phelps and just dropped back a little bit in the field just to conserve that. So I think he should be okay. but he is. You can never be 100% sure, of course, because we don't have that data here in the broadcast booth, up in the commentary booth. So we do get caught out sometimes by surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. Can have a quick look at this, however, which just shows you how long they've been on the stint, and if Foster's in trouble, taking into account that he has been leading, Finlay will probably run pretty close as well. So the only other one, of course, Douglas pitting on lap 28. So but he did.
I would actually say Dave is probably looking the best out of all of them because he's got that extra little lap of fuel, couple of milliliters more fuel than some of the rest around him possibly. So if there are a couple of people that cough and splutter in front here, so if Foster does get a little bit of a cough coming towards that line, and we know the start finish line is very, very far away on this track, of course, it's right at the exit of pit lane, so it's a long way to go here. If he does get a bit of a splutter, this could be perfect for Dave Douglas if he gets a bit of a slingshot. I think I can see Luke Trahair coming into pit lane, so yeah, people are starting to have trouble with fuel. So Luke Trahair coming in right now, so fuel might be the determining factor for tonight. This is going to get very, very interesting now. If those guys are starting to run out of fuel, who has saved, who has got this working out for them, who is going to pay off the best for? This is going to be really, really tense stuff right now.
It even gets down to the milliliter. Of course, Foster starting right towards the back of the field, so he had a lot further distance to travel down pit lane on the outlap than, say, Jaden Russell, Brenton Hobson or Andrew Dyson, who were basically in the same position they were in at the front of the field on the outlap. So it could even get down to being that close.
Yeah, I think Christopher Finley's just dropping back. I think he might need to come into pit lane. So, yeah, I think this is going to get really, really close. You can see them passing Ryan Wooden as he's come out of the draft. Now he's just dropped right back and he's dropped down a lap. So we've got 5 laps remaining now. We are really getting towards the end of this race, and we don't know what's going to happen now. This is still anybody's race. We don't know who's going to win this one, of course. We don't know what's going to happen because it is so close. The top 11 are covered by 1 second, so there is nothing between those guys. It's just who saved the fuel, who can go that extra lap. They're going to be tight on fuel. It could be good news for Riley Curtis and Dave Douglas at the moment. Those two have got an extra lap of fuel on board, but it just depends how far they can go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely the case. Of course, Douglas as well needs Aaron Dillon to go with him to get the pace to get back up to the front here. He's just languishing a little bit now that he's lost Christopher Finlay in front of him.
Well, if Dave can keep out there to the end, then he has got this one, because the people will lose a lot of time in pit lane. So himself and Riley Curtis could be in with a good shout at the moment if everybody else around him has to pit. So I think we're going to see a lot of cars coming in. I think we're going to see Foster coming in, actually. He's looking like he's just getting a little bit antsy on that low line. Same with Ruben Phelps. They look like they're just shaping up to come into pit lane. So it looks like we're going to have a big spat of people coming into pit lane. We've got 3 laps remaining. That's quite a long way around as well, because remember, this track is 4.3 kilometers in length. That's a long way to go. So you need the fuel. So Phelps and Foster coming in right now. This is going to give the lead to Jaden Russell and Brenton Hobson. Dave Douglas on the outside. How many more laps can these guys go? If they can make it to the end, they could be in with a great shout here.
And of course, Douglas is in the truck in the best condition out of those leaders. A bit of damage on Jaden Russell's truck there on the rear quarter. Look, a lot of it is not going to do a lot given the position that we're in the race, but we always talk about it every week. The cleanest trucks definitely perform better towards the end. Dave Douglas now up into 2nd position. Andrew Dyson, don't write him off either. His truck nice and clean too. And he definitely is one to keep an eye on. But as you say, a lot of these guys are going to be questioning now. Foster's gone in as well, of course. There's that mental game of, oh, wow, do I need fuel as well? Or am I going to make it to the end? So we just have to wait and see here as we're going to get around. And we're going to have 2 to go.
Yeah, it's of course when you're running in the pack, you do save a lot more fuel than some of the other cars, but it is a big old lap around Talladega. So I think we're going to see a lot of these guys just running on vapors towards the end. It's just going to be who's going to cough, who's going to splutter. Dave Douglas at the moment is leading that charge on the top of the line. He stopped a lap later than the rest of these guys. Same with Riley Curtis. So you've got to say at the moment they're looking the best for fuel, as the 93 there, or who was that through? I think that was Riley Curtis. Yeah, Riley Curtis just coming up towards the front of the pack. So yeah, as I said, those guys have got a little bit more fuel to play with. As Dave Douglas just gets a moment there. He's just snapped out. So he's just had a big moment. He's just lost the front of that truck. That is disastrous for Dave.
Yeah, with a lap to go, effectively, he's just snapped out of this race for the lead. So you're going to see Dyson now go wide and take up the fight to the leaders here. It's Russell, Dyson, Hobson, Curtis, Davison. Ryan Jones is in here as well as Gary Wellman as we round for the last time on this huge Talladega track. Dyson there just getting a little high. Jones is fast behind him. They're going to have to move together as Russell's down. He's out. He is out of fuel. And that means Hobson's in. Oh, there's a huge accident. There's a huge accident in the background. I think this is going to be it. Is it? Is it going to be Ryan Jones?
It's a bit. Ryan Jones has got the lead at the moment. Will he have the fuel to get around there? Riley Curtis is going to get a good slipstream here. Riley Curtis, don't count him out. If he can get a good draft here and Ryan Jones is out, you see himself and Wellman just making contact. Andrew Dyson on the bottom line. He's getting a good run, but he's getting caught. This is going to give it to Jones or Wellman. It's going to be Wellman or Jones. Wellman's going to get the run. Wellman gets the run over Jones. Gary Wellman takes the win here at Talladega. Riley Curtis second. Nigel Patton third. Ryan Jones running out of fuel at the line there. That was absolutely mental.
Wow, Andrew Dyson will not be happy, I don't imagine. He's ended up in pit lane for the end of the race. I think he's also out of fuel. So everyone there running very, very close to the line, but taking nothing away. Gary Wellman, Simboys Racing, number 45, getting the win. Riley Curtis coming home in second place in the 93 Snap on Tools entry. And Nigel Patton, Activity Hub Bali, good result for him, finishing in third. Strong qualifying for him and a good long run race for him has ended up with him in third place. Congratulations, Nigel Patton, on your result.
Ryan Jones in fourth position, the biggest gainer of the night. 31 positions gained for Ryan. He almost got that win. It was milliliters, it was vapors that cost him that race. Norman Clark finishing in fifth position, a strong finish for Norman at the end there. Sixth place for Mick Taylor, a strong finish for Mick Taylor there, with Jason Martin seventh. Eighth was Troy Davidson, one of the other Simboys cars, managing to get up there with Aaron Dillon, his teammate, just behind him in ninth. And 10th was Luke Traher at the end of that race. Luke managing to get back there in the end. That was a absolute That finish was, well, you can't get much narrower than that.
Yeah, and talking about narrow, Gary Wellman is out of fuel as well, so he is literally just rolling around the circuit at the moment. There'll be no burnouts tonight, as there's not even enough fuel to get the Silverado home, potentially. Nigel Patton, I think he may be out as well. So we've got cars scattered all over the track, having run out of fuel on what was ostensibly a all-green affair here at Talladega, 2 caution periods only, and it was Edward Foster leading for a majority of the race. He knew he wasn't going to get home on fuel, jumped in to pit lane, and we had a good half a dozen drivers roll the dice and see whether or not they would make it home, and at the end of the day, it was Gary Wellman just getting across the line at the end there.
I'll tell you what, Stuart, just jump onto his driver cockpit view and watch the revs on there for Gary Wellman as he crosses the line, because he makes it about, it would be less than a meter across the line before that thing splutters. So his truck just ran out of fuel as it crossed the line, literally getting across the line, he ran out of fuel. So he spluttered at the right time. That was you can't get more, can't get closer than that for Gary Wellman. That was perfectly done. Riley Curtis as well. So Nigel Patton as well. Look how many positions he gained. He just managed to keep it up there. But really, really good job. And as I said, Gary Wellman just very nearly. That was so close on fuel for him. That was absolutely fantastic. Absolute grandstand finish here. But we're going to grab the drivers down.
Just before we go, we're just on board at the moment with Nigel Patton, because not only did he manage to bring it home in third just before getting involved, but he also managed to avoid the incident that happened on the last lap. It happened right in front of him, and he managed to pull through that and obviously get across the line into third place.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's going to take us hours to actually go through the footage and work out exactly what happened there, because there was so much going on at the line. Watch Gary Wellman here as he gets across the line. You just see the engine just blip a little bit. There it is. And it just makes it before that engine just goes, nope, I'm out of go juice. So we will jump to that man, Nigel Patton, first of all. Third place finish at Talladega for the trucks. Congratulations on a great qualifying and a great race, Nigel Patton.
Yeah, thanks, Stewie.
It's good to have you in the booth, mate. We saw you had some good pace out there tonight with qualifying, getting up there in 5th position for the start of the race. Avoiding that last lap. Well, that crazy last lap got you up into 3rd at the end.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky there. Just snuck through it, and then I think a couple of boys ran out of fuel, and I just made it, so it was good.
Yeah, how much fuel did you have left in your boot for that one?
I ran out just as I went over the line.
We said it was going to be close. We started realising how close it was going to be a little bit further towards the end of that race, but yeah, you snuck it across there, and really good finish, because you were running a bit further down, weren't you, on the start of that last lap, I think. You for yourself and just running behind Jason Martin, I think, down in 9th or 10th place. Then all of a sudden you're up there in 3rd.
Yeah, I thought, well, this is my lap. This is go time, so we'll give it a go, and yeah, it worked out. Finally, just.
Well, look, only one lap really matters in racing, and that's the last lap, and you certainly made it matter tonight. You must be absolutely chuffed with that one.
Yeah, especially, the actual competition of tonight's pretty tough, so it was great to be up there, so it was good for the team, so it was great.
Well, that's it. You're saying about competition, we saw you guys running 2 to 3 wide pretty much all night. How tiring was that one?
Yeah, it was full on concentration there for a fair bit of it. Yeah, it was crazy, but it was great racing, so it was great to everyone. Good night, and well done to Gary and Riley and all the boys, so it was great.
Congratulations to yourself, and congratulations to the Activity Hub Barley team. Well done on that 3rd place finish, and as usual, the usual thing of shout out and love to your sponsors.
Yep, yeah, thanks, boys. Activity Hub Barley, Shorey does a great job with the team. Raymond, who's our team leader, he's not here tonight, he's playing 8-ball, I think, but he does a power of work for us, and everyone else in the team does a really good job. So thanks to everyone, and you guys for sponsoring the race, and Ed and the boys for putting on ANZCAR. It's great. Thank you very much.
Well done on that great finish, Nigel Patton there for Activity Hub Barley. Next up, we're going to jump up to 2nd place finisher, Mr. Riley Curtis. You snuck that one in at the end, mate.
Yeah, that was pretty hectic, actually. That's the first time I've been involved in a full-blown fuel race at somewhere like Dega, so it was pretty intense.
How peckered were you when Troy Davidson came up in front of you towards that last lap?
Yeah, I am. That last lap, there was just shit. Well, sorry, there was stuff going on everywhere, so I was just trying to survive it, and I don't even know who was around me. I knew that Jonesy was there, and I think Dyson was somewhere, but yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, that was a pretty hectic last lap. We saw that you stopped about a lap later than everybody else. How were you on fuel for that last run?
Because I pretty much dropped the hammer for the last 2 laps to try and make something happen. I think I had 300 mil in the tank when I crossed the line. I only gained about a litre by pitting extra.
So you had a lot of fuel left then.
Yeah.
300 mils, that's plenty. Oh no, that was a great run towards the end. As we said, we're sort of watching out and keeping an eye on things, and all of a sudden I sort of noticed yourself and Dave Douglas were sort of some of the late stoppers, and I sort of said, watch out for Riley on this one, because we saw you coming up there, and all of a sudden you just appear from nowhere, very close towards the end there. That last lap, I mean, you must have passed about 7 or 8 cars there as well.
Yeah, I looked with 2 to go, and I seen how much fuel I'd left, and I thought, well, it's now or never. So I went for that charge and paid off with second.
Yeah, it's it was a good charge indeed. You missed out on the narrowest margins there. I think it was very, very close to getting that win by 0.096 of a second. So really nothing between it at the end there. So again, a really good strong finish for yourself. Obviously, just one away from the top, but you must be pretty happy with that finish.
Yeah, considering lap 1, there was a big checkup, so I jumped to the apron. I think I was dead last, 40th in that first stint, and then I just played the fuel game in the middle stint as well, and I was sort of hoping we'd go green to the end because I think I would have been a lot better, like in a lot more comfortable position compared to other people if it had gone green, and it wouldn't have been as many people at the front, but it gave us a good race anyway.
No, thank you so much for giving us an entertaining last lap there, Riley Curtis. Before I let you go, of course, the usual shout out and love to sponsors.
Who have I got on the car? I've got Riley Curtis Design, Toyo Tires, I've got Ash Media, K&N Filters, and then we've given the main bonnet space just to the old It Ain't Weak to Speak, supporting mental health.
No, always good to see. Thank you so much, Riley. It's always a pleasure to have you up here in the booth, and it's good to see you here again. Hopefully we'll get you back relatively soon, but congratulations on that P2.
Cheers, boys. Thanks for another fantastic broadcast. You're doing a great job.
Always welcome. And finally, we'll head to the man that was coughing and spluttering once he got past the line, the race winner for Simboys, Mr. Gary Wellman. Congratulations on that win.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, I think that's the first ever league race win there. So, yeah, definitely pretty stoked to get the monkey off the back on that one.
I was about to say that. I'm pretty sure this is the first ANZCAR win for yourself. We've seen you up towards the top a fair amount of the time, and you've been having a good season. But we've also seen Simboys doing a good job at the super speedways, of course, in the truck series as well. We saw your teammate Kay Donnelly getting the win at the start of the truck season, and you've come here at Talladega and done it for the team as well.
Yeah, she's a bit of a fuel save game, that one. And, yeah, I was pretty much saving to the last half a lap, knowing that she would probably be coughing over the line. And, yeah, that's exactly what it did. So, bit gutted I didn't get to do my burnout. But, yeah, still awesome, fun race, and stoked to get the win on that one.
We saw a bit of hip and shoulder towards yourself and Ryan Jones there right at the end as well. Fair bit of door rubbing and stuff like that, but you could see Ryan was out of fuel, and obviously yourself pretty much choking as soon as you got across the line.
Yeah, we were banging doors a bit, and yeah, Ryan was pretty good about it. I wondered if he'd be a bit crapped off about the pass at the end there, but yeah, he was out of fuel too, and we're all good. So, yeah, no, I just missed all the wrecks all through the race as well, so I had a few close calls and kept her in one piece. So, yeah, I'm stoked.
And one last thing I just want to talk about, of course, you had so many of your teammates up around you throughout that race. We saw great qualifying from all of you. It's probably yourself excluded from that one down there in 22nd, but you guys were strong all throughout the race. You managed to keep a good pack running with all of you. How was the teamwork with all of you tonight?
Yeah, we probably didn't work heaps as a team, but we were all up there and we were, on the Discord chatting away and making sure we're looking out for each other. So, yeah, no, it's awesome to have all the boys up the front, running in top 10 for a fair bit of the first half of the race there. And, yeah, no, it definitely keeps things interesting when we're up there. So it was good. A few of us held on to the end anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And a bit of a shout out to your teammate Christopher Finlay for getting his truck home, considering it was missing about 99% of its panels at the end of that race. But a really good run from yourself, and congratulations on that first victory. 22nd to first at Talladega, winning at Talladega as well. That must be a special feeling.
Yep, no, that's definitely one I won't be forgetting anytime soon. And, yeah, stoked to get my first win. So, yeah, well done to Riley and Nigel as well in the podiums. And, yeah, no, it was just a fun finish there.
And of course, before I let you go, the usual shout out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, just Simboys again. Yeah, good bunch of blokes, and we usually have a few beers up the shed every Friday, so we have a bit of a laugh with it and have some good fun. Yeah, ANZCAR as well. Yeah, really good series. Just yeah, all us boys enjoy racing the ANZCAR, and yeah, FGM as well. You guys for the good broadcast. Always good to watch on a Friday night in the shed as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, I imagine Friday night's going to be beers and watching this one over again.
Yeah, I reckon I'll have a bend in me this Friday.
Well, crack on open for us. Have a good night, Gary, and congratulations again on that first victory.
Yeah.
Well, Stuart, the end of that race was a little bit hectic.
You could call it hectic. I'm not really too sure. Yeah, I've now watched the playback 3 times there, as we've just got the top 3 on the screen, and there's plenty of movement around there. So I can see a little bit of moving going on in the Discord around it, but I don't think it'll affect the result at the front there. A fantastic drive from those 3 at the end. A little bit of Rubbins racing, a great finish, and big shout out to Ryan Jones as well, up 33 places and in it right till the end when he ran out of fuel, but taking nothing away from our podium tonight. Gary Wellman, Riley Curtis and Nigel Patton, our top 3 at Talladega tonight in the trucks.
That's it. They might not have had the speed across the night. Other than Nigel Patton, he was up there pretty much all night long, but they managed to save the fuel when it was needed, and that's a big factor in racing on ovals, is managing to keep a little bit of extra fuel hidden away when you need it, and they worked it out perfectly for that one. So great to see from those guys. An absolute great finish here at Talladega as well. We'll be heading to Michigan next time out for the Truck Series on the 21st, so 80 laps around Michigan. We've also got the Wednesday night Thunder Series, of course, the Xfinity Series coming up, and that will be at Nashville, the Nashville Speedway. And then, of course, we have the Cup Series as well, Nashville Super Speedway, this Thursday night, there we go, eventually got it right. Thursday night, of course, at the Nashville Super Speedway. The first time we're really using that, of course, this week, because it's just been released from iRacing, of course. A classic speedway, a fantastic place. We call it a Super Speedway because that's what it was back in the day, but it's a little bit smaller than what we'd expect from tonight. It's not quite a Talladega. It's a very different kind of track. It's been I think it's been a good 20 or 30 years since NASCAR last raced there as well, so it's fantastic to see it back on the track map. And of course you can see that all here on FGMeCAST, so make sure to hit that subscribe, like button and the bell to make sure you get the notifications on that to catch more of this great NASCAR racing action.
Absolutely. So no Tuesday night Oz Per Am Sim Series even. That series is off still for a couple of weeks, back on the 29th of June, and I know the guys are working hard in the background, as are we, on the launch for Season 4. So do keep your eye out on our socials for that, and to everyone who watched tonight and tuned in, thank you very much. To Carl Withy, of course. Carl, thanks very much. Enjoy your Tuesday evening off, and we will catch you all back here on FGMeCAST, your E-Place for Pace, on Wednesday evening with the return of the Thunder Series on FGMeCAST. Thanks for watching.